Countries that display periods of strong economic development are often praised for providing both the proper political and economic environments to allow such growth. However, it is often forgot what negative effects can be had if a country provides an inhibitive environment for growth and how economies can be transformed by a series of bad political regimes and economic policies. Argentina, while still one of the stronger South American economies, is the perfect example of why it is important to carefully choose the economic policies that will rule a nation. Due to differing political regimes and bad economic decisions, Argentina experienced one of the largest economic declines in recorded history, characterized by a currency default at the turn of the 21st century. It possesses definite comparative advantages in agriculture as the country is endowed with a vast amount of fertile land. Between the years of 1860 and 1930, the country itself outgrew both Canada and Australia in terms of population, total income, and per capita income, mostly due to the exploitation of the rich land of the Pampas. By 1913, Argentina was the world's 10th wealthiest nation per capita. This, however, would see a sharp decline. As you can see here, while many countries saw periods of prosperous development, Argentina saw the contrary, and in the span of 70 years, its per capita GDP world ranking fell from number 10 to number 50 due to an accumulation of failed government policies. By 1930, the economy deteriorated notably due to the continuous political instability characterized by a military junta taking power. This ended 7 decades of civilian constitutional government. As you can see here, almost immediately following the military junta's rise to power, Argentina saw a sharp decline in its GDP per capita when compared to that as a percentage of the United States. Successive governments from the 1930s to the 1970s pursued a strategy of import substitution to achieve industrial self-sufficiency. This drew investment away from agriculture, an industry in which Argentina had competitive advantage. Looking at this graph, you can see the drastic effects that import substitution had on the economy. In the span of 3 years, agricultural exports fell by over 4 billion. This sharp decline in exports forced the government to end these policies in 1976, which led to growth in government spending, large wage increases, and inefficient production. This led to chronic inflation. Look at the percentage increase in inflation. In the span of 2 years, inflation jumped from 250% to 3,000%. The political and economic crisis reached its ultimate low in 2001 since the country's independence. Towards the end of 2002, the economy had contracted by 20% since 1998. Following these effects over the course of 2 years, output fell by over 15%, the peso lost three-quarters of its value, registered unemployment exceeded 25%, and income poverty reached its peak of 54%. Much of the blame of the economic collapse was placed on the IMF's conduct prior to 2001, saying the IMF had supported the country's fixed exchange rate for too long and was too lenient towards fiscal deficits. However, in 2001, social unrest reached its peak as the crisis worsened and millions of civilians protested against the current president and his policies. Fernando de la Rua resigned from office on December 21st, 2001 during the continuous riots. Following his resignation, Eduardo Duhalde became Argentina's president in January 2002. The Minister of the Economy, Roberto Lavagna, was then credited for ensuing recovery of the economy by stabilizing prices and exchange rates in a moment when Argentina was in danger of hyperinflation. Growth then resumed in 2002, with Argentina's economy growing by over 6% a year for 7 years. This was achieved largely in part because of a commodity price boom and also because the government managed to keep the value of the currency low and abandoning import substitution, which in turn boosted industrial exports.